Ole Miss fights valiantly but cannot win as they lose to the Gators in overtime. This is the post-game pod on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. And, currently it's 3-point play. They have a chance to get back in and make it a one-possession game. But it looks like they're going to lose the game as it stands. But this is the post-game pod on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, and we are watching Ole Miss in Florida. It's currently 14 seconds left to go in the game. Florida is up 59-56, so there will be some drama down the line. But honestly, it's not going to change my talking points. Whether Ole Miss wins or loses this game, Kermit deserves credit for it. He absolutely deserves credit for it. And what he was able to accomplish with essentially a 7-man roster. I know Eric Vanderheiden played some, but he played very sparsely, and everybody else had to put it together over the course of the game. This is the thinnest of rosters, and this is not something that they can really put together. Foul at the line, so Ole Miss is going to be able to cut it to one-possession game. They don't have the roster to be able to play in overtime. They don't have the depth. They don't need extra basketball. And they threw possessions away at the end of the regulation where they had a chance to win the game. Looked a lot like Tennessee. Once it got to overtime, you could tell what happened. Eventually, there would be a run. Now, the reason Ole Miss lost this game is they went nearly 10 minutes in the second half without a field goal. Nearly 10 minutes in the second half without a field goal. The defense played stellar. The defense played almost Rob Evans-esque out there, really fighting and working with Florida. Neither team hit 50 points until overtime. So that is, what we want to talk about there. So anyway, BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the playoffs right through the big game in a couple of weeks. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just football. BetOnline has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live, real-time updates of current games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available in the 2022 season. BetOnline, where the game starts. And also, this is the time of year you've pretty much given up on all my I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. This is one year I'm going to stick to one resolution to eat right, thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I'm actually enjoying eating them. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamonary, churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, Puffs included. 100% real chocolate. So go to Built.com, scroll down to the macros chart, and you'll be blown away. High protein, low cal, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar that usually is 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Coconut almond, mint brownie, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and they're all new flavors coming out to you all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It will be delicious, and it will be good for you. So here's the offer. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. All right. So we talked about this. Kermit deserves all the credit in the world for this game. Yeah, I mean, he just does. This is a game that was not supposed to be close. Everybody knows what Daeshun Ruffin meant to this team. And he was not only able to pull it in, but he was able to perform, and they had a chance to win the game. Now, Jarkel Joyner coming back helped out. And there's the final whistle, 62-57. Helped out. Jarkel added 7 points. He played most of the minutes, but he was like 1 for 7 from 3 for 10 overall. He doesn't have his legs under him. See, that's the problem with this. In the first half, when everything is going well, your legs are under and you can go, but eventually you get tired. Ole Miss played a bunch of games last week. So it's starting to cumulatively affect them. Jamin Brakefield threw up a goose egg in this game. He was 0 for 3, 0 for 2 from 3. He grabbed 4 rebounds. That's his stat line. 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. This is a guy that's going through a major crisis of conscience right now. He's a really good player. He's got the tools. Like I said, he reminds me of a young Ansu Cisse. But if you treat him like he's a finished product, which I think some people are doing, it takes away from the fact that development is needed for this kid. He's a young Ansu Cisse. That's what he is. He has a chance to, by the time he's a senior, be a really good basketball player. But he has to get to being a senior. And he has to put in all the work between now and then to get there. But that's what we're looking at with Jamin Brakefield. But right now his confidence is completely wrecked. He needs to have a decent day moving forward. But Ole Miss, 12-11 overall, 3-7 in the conference. If it wasn't for the overtime games, you're looking at 5-5, and this might be a bubble team. That's the difference. Those last possessions before overtime really came back to get us. Ty Fagan had 15. Matthew Murrell had 14. Kind of showed flashes of what we knew. He shot volume tonight. He was 4 for 16. He didn't have a nice night shooting. All of his made shots were 3-pointers. But he was needed. He needed to be the dude. He tried to be the dude. It just didn't work out. Nasir Brooks had 11. Austin Crowley 2. Luis Rodriguez had 8. So you see the uptick from Luis Rodriguez. Ole Miss shot 32% from the field. Like I said, 10%. 10 minutes scoreless without a field goal in the second half that allowed Florida to come back to basically tie it. And all that time, all that was done is Florida chipped away at an 8-point lead and got it back to 0. It was a pretty great defensive performance. Like I said, Ole Miss shot 32% from the field, 27% from 3, 58% from the line. That's probably where the damage was done. The real positive was Luis Rodriguez. He was 6 of 7 of his 8 points came from the line. They had trouble finishing at the line. Castleton from Florida came back tonight. He gives Ole Miss problems with his length. Nasir Brooks matched up with him fairly well. He just didn't dominate the game. But you're going to look at the box score, and it's going to say 62-57 in overtime. And you're going to say, okay, that's a normal basketball score. The fact that it was 48-48 going into overtime will go under the radar. Like I said, it was a decent battle game. Kermit deserves credit for this game, but man, it was hard to watch. It was difficult. This team does not handle adversity well at all. At some point in a basketball game, adversity is going to strike. And the quickness in which you get out of that adversity and kind of get the game back to normal, the quicker you can get on for yourself. This team tonight went 10 minutes without a field goal. Not even without a field goal. There was no plan and nobody to step up to become the guy to take it upon themselves to get to the foul line, to keep this going. It was pass around the perimeter, turn the ball over. It was there was no confidence there. And Daeshun Ruffin, you can count on him going to the basket. They need to find somebody. This looks a lot like the early season. They need to find somebody not afraid to go in there and win. That's just the truth. They need to find somebody willing to put it on the line and go in there and win. If they can figure that out, there's going to be a lot more games that are competitive like this. Like I said, Kermit deserves all the credit in the world. Ole Miss had 7 guys tonight. essentially. Eric Vanderheiden played some, but not much. I would argue that Eric Vanderheiden probably needs to play more because you need the body. I would argue that Grant Slatton needs to play. What is the deal with Sammy Hunter? These are questions that need to be asked. If Sammy Hunter is not a part of your team right now, that is telling with where we are on the roster. I think Sammy Hunter hadn't played in 4 or 5 games. Feels to me like he might have spouted out or walked off in practice, and he's in the doghouse. A similar situation to T. Tisdale. But I mean, it is what it is. That you hate to say that, but it is what it is. And because of that, this team winning games is going to be very difficult moving forward. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Missouri, Georgia, the whole 9 yards, winning games are going to be difficult with this team. It just is. The injuries have chewed this team up. Jarkel Joyner coming back. Now, he's not what we expected he would be. You know, he's not the Jarkel that we know and love, because he's just coming back and coming back early from injury. So just understand what is going on with this team. Enjoy the basketball. There's still a chance for development to happen. There's still a chance to be that team that's just a headache by the SEC tournament. But, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, injuries have just decimated this team. But Kermit is putting them in position to win. They're playing ugly games. It's the equivalent to CONCACAF soccer when the U.S. plays Jamaica or Guatemala or El Salvador. They just sit back. They just park the bus. And that's what Ole Miss basketball is doing. It's really close to, who was that? Princeton back in the day. Running it down to where they're just going to use all the shot clock and they're going to plan to get it to a certain point at 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and the final score of the game is going to be 47-45, and we're going to be happy about it. But that's what's going on with this team. They are essentially doing the basketball version of parking the bus. Anyway, I'm Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been the post-game pod. We'll be back Monday to talk about the recruiting class, specifically analytics and recruiting, and we will kind of break down what we see happening as it goes on. Patton Valentine will be on the show Monday. So tune in for that. But thank you for watching this, if you watch this. And, of course, hotty toddy.